Hi everyone, this is Killshot99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9, Whispers Arrive Early. What do we mean by that title? I am going to get into it because there was a lot of drama about the first two episodes. Everybody and their brother is throwing theories out there. The Whispers are there, the Whispers. We heard them say time in the background. There's a video on that. There was some audio, no doubt about it. But we're going to get into why the Whispers have not arrived earlier. Your eyes are definitely deceiving you. We will have some spoiler chat tonight, so I do have to warn you. I'll let you know as we ramp up to it. Do not type it in the comments, please, until we get to that point. Do want to give a super chat shout out to Valar saying, hello 999 Army, Kill Steph, Emmy Kel, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, and of course all the super chatters. And also, we have added a brand new Patreon as well. I want to say what's up to Samantha Wilson, the newest patron supporter. Thank you so much, Samantha. And we also got Lakeisha Faison with the super chat already. So, Lakeisha, we are going to discuss some of the stuff that we talked about last night. Moderators, keep posted because we do have a follow-up. So let me just give you a little bit of information. We got to stifle this before it even starts. The first thing I want to do is I want to apologize because the spoilers for this week are out again on a Monday. So we will talk about some spoilers. I like the good old days when they were out on late Wednesdays and Thursdays and people didn't talk about them and there were more valid predictions. But if they're out there and we don't at least entertain some of them, then they're going to be all over the internet before we get a chance to ever talk about them. We will still have some of our theories for the next couple weeks and the big picture theories, right? But here it is. So let me go ahead and give you the information that is going to disappoint a lot of people. So, and the spoiler site even says, Justin, let's start with Justin, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. He was not killed by Dwight, not killed by Heath, not killed by Negan, and definitely not killed by the Whispers. So the Whispers we talked about last night, I was probably on an island by myself and said, it's way too early for this to happen. So some of you do know what went down, so I'm going to tell you right now what happened to Justin. It is, from what we're hearing from the spoiler sites, it's Beatrice and Cindy who are killing the Saviors. All right? So let's put this into context for just a minute. Donna's like, no, I'm with you, Kills. Beatrice and Cindy. Yes, I know it's what? What's going on? The question is, why would Justin walk up and act friendly to them? It involves Maggie. So the girls from Oceanside thought that it was everybody was making peace. And when Maggie killed Gregory, they realized, like, no, it's not peace, that we can have our own law or take matters into their own hands. So that's a big deal. So apparently this is the story. And this is what we talked about last night. We said there's probably more story that they're going to add to it. So it appears that, let me give you a little bit of how it goes down. I'm not going to go through all the spoilers because we're going to talk about some of this stuff. So let me get to the part that is relevant to everybody. Hold on. Everybody calm down just a second, because there's a lot of really good spoilers that are out there. So the way it goes down, Justin's body's found. It gets brought back to the camp. There's going to be a lot of fighting. And then this week is going to be like a whodunit. People are blaming Daryl. That's why you see Rick question Daryl. Then Rick will go to Maggie and says, who do you think could have done this? Rick even has a chat with Daryl. And he mentioned some people thought, and Daryl doesn't really care. So Daryl's not overly defensive about it. One of the girls from Oceanside has been knocked unconscious, and a rot was taken. So what happens is, one of the walkers ends up with like a crossbow bolt shot in them. And at that point, Daryl knows who it is. And there's a little bit of drama that's going to go down. Daryl's not necessarily going to tell everybody. But I have to tell you, there's a lot of good spoilers go down this week. But I'm going to get to the other ones in one second. I know you guys are really excited about this. Maggie and Daryl sort of have their little talk. They're going to take some matters into their own hands. Daryl and Maggie will stumble across a few of the Oceanside ladies that are holding Arat at gunpoint. So here's the way it goes down. Arat ends up missing, and then Daryl and Maggie, who are walking back with the gasoline in their hand, getting ready to take some matters into their own hands, see the ladies holding Arat at gunpoint. And then they get into the explanation of what happened. Justin apparently killed Beatrice's husband. And Arat killed Cindy's brother. And now they've already killed Justin, so they have Arat. And Arat is basically begging Daryl, like, help me, help me. But Cindy is going to get cold. So Cindy actually makes Arat tell them what her brother said when he was begging for his life. And Arat's like, what did my brother say before you killed him? And Arat looks at her and says, he said, no exceptions. Maggie and Daryl turn around, and Arat is killed. So, as I said, there's many more spoilers in this week's episode, and we will talk about them. But I wanted to kind of get into the Whisper storyline. And the reason is because, look, there could be a clue or two, but we've got to stay true to the time skip. And this is what we talked about last night. Because, look, we have 400 people. And 400 people were coming at me in all different directions. And they said, kills, he was looking up. It was beta. And I said, everybody, come on, just pump the brakes for a second here. We've got another 3.5 years to go through. Now, do I think that the Saviors, some of the Saviors could join up with the Whispers? Absolutely. But I'm not sure that the Whispers are formed. Now, let's go back to episode number 1. And it is going to go down in a real dramatic fashion. In episode number 1, it is clear as day when you hear time. I don't know what time means, and I know there's speculation out there. It could be a real bad editing feature. I've watched that scene over and over again. I've heard it. I looked in the background. I thought, maybe Rick would hear it. Somebody else would react to it. But it's very, very bizarre. And I do have to tell you, I think it is an editing issue, and for a show to be that well funded, that's a big, big deal. But I can't see any place that it makes sense. And I don't, tying episode 1 to episode 2 and just hearing that voice in the background, it's almost like it was meant to be a slow motion, but there's nobody around that could have made that comment. The Whispers do come this season, Will Saint. But this season has 14 more episodes and another time skip after, I think, episode 6. So if you've not seen it, there are other people that have done videos on it. But you can go back and watch episode number 1, and it is right before Rick looks up and sees the walkers, and he turns around and he says, "Daryl, Michonne," and she goes, "On it," and they go kill the walkers. But right before that, you hear it. It is it's time, like that. It's not even like a whisper. It's almost like a slow motion gone bad. So check it out. I don't have the exact part where it shows up, and if you're just tuning in, we are talking a little bit of this week's spoilers. And Karen, you got to watch it several times. It was very blatant, but it seems like more of a mistake than there's nobody around. I mean, if it's something that loud for the audience to hear, you got to assume that Rick or Maggie or Daryl or somebody else would hear it. So a lot of people just joined in. They see whispers arrive early, and I know they want to get involved in the chat. One thing I'd like for y'all to do before we get too far in this video, and once again, there's a warning, we will talk spoilers. If everybody can do me a favor, hit the like button if you're having a good time this season, Season 9, talking about The Walking Dead, hanging out with us. If you're not, and you don't like what we do, give it a thumbs down. I want to see either or. If we are growing, this army, this network of Walking Dead fanatics that we've become is growing just to new heights. So you guys smash that like button if you enjoy it. If you just got lost and you don't like what we do and you hate The Walking Dead and you hate me, give it a thumbs down. Either way. Age. So we got Age with a super chat here. So I'm a little late to the party. What's up, Kills? I'm looking forward to this chat. Quick side note, it's weird as hell seeing Cal drive Maggie around. He's Glenn's doppelganger. It is. It is a little weird. First of all, seeing Maggie being chauffeured around. But it's also weird seeing Jed come out of the woods and eat the tomato in the back. And that's what's so cool about this. And then, of course, the spoiler is going to reveal a little bit of that. But Jed thinks that Maggie is hauling dead saviors. Which is funny because the girls from Oceanside have pretty much gotten along with the saviors. But here's the big punchline. Here's the big story. It's kind of Maggie's fault. So what we're reading is this, and you guys are like, wait a minute, Kills. You know, we blame Maggie. We started liking Maggie. We're blaming Maggie again. Well, here's why. As long as everybody was making peace and not killing, the girls from Oceanside seemed okay to follow suit. But apparently, as Maggie has taken the law in her own hands, so too have the girls from Oceanside. And this is a quote. Cindy says that they went along with Rick's rules because they thought they had to. Until Maggie executed Gregory, Maggie, quote, showed them the way. I want you to show me the way. Maggie went Peter Frampton and showed them exactly that Rick is right. Rick is looking at the bigger picture, and when people start to take the law in their own hands, we knew this, didn't we? I mean, didn't we spend a whole 2 or 3 days talking about how Maggie's actions were going to come back to hurt people on the bigger picture? That she should have partnered with people, and even she's starting to look into it now. So the story is really coming together. Now, some people are not real happy that the Oceanside plot just comes out of nowhere. But, I mean, we knew. I mean, we didn't get the 100% confirmation. But I'm feeling really good about the 999 Army, and I'll tell you why. Because we have always speculated that the Saviors executed, even before it was hinted and even before it was revealed. We hinted that the Saviors and Simon took a group there and mowed them down, all the men of Oceanside. So you had to know that this was kind of floating out there. So I like that they're officially telling the story. So I don't think it's as random as people think. And the fact that Maggie's actions lead to other people's consequence, I like it. And apparently many people have not seen all the spoilers, so I'm just going to throw it out there. If you guys want Jadis spoilers, if you want some Jadis helicopter spoilers, then everybody in this chat is going to have to hit a like button or a dislike button. I mean, we've got 400 people that are chilling that won't even move the mouse over. If you guys want some good, juicy Jadis information, then like it up. Otherwise, you're holding back the chat. That's all I can say. I am hijacking the like button. All right, now we've woken some of the people up. All right, so while people are figuring that out, I'm going to go over to Lakeisha with the super chat. Lakeisha says, Kills, what do you think about Carol agreeing to Rick's plan? Do you feel that Maggie started this chaos? Rick needs to deal with her. Well, some things are going to go down this week with Rick and Carol, with Daryl and Maggie. So Maggie agrees that Rick's global plan is the right plan. The problem is Maggie doesn't agree with all the local activities. All right. The reason I'm going to give you this next spoiler is because we have been on this for a long, long time. So I'm feeling pretty good about this as well. Like when we make old school predictions and they just kind of come into play. So let's talk about the chopper a little bit. So apparently Rick still does not trust Ann. And Father G basically says that he was with her all night. All right. I'll tell you what we'll do. This is going to be the last spoiler that I'm going to go into. And I have to give you this because it's not a I will not give any other spoilers out than this one, no matter how many times you guys try to bribe me. But I am going to talk about the helicopter. Fair enough? Let's have a negotiation. As I said, this is not going to be full spoiler. I already gave you the non-whisper information. And then we will add a little bit more info tomorrow night. All right, so I won't get into the Father G. All right, this is the last we get. And do not type spoilers into chat. Because people are going to be reading it, and I do want to give them a warning. And there are several people that don't want the whole information. All right, so we're only going to talk chopper. So Jadis Ann makes it back to the junkyard, and she goes through some items and finds a metal box that contains her walkie-talkie. So she gets on the walkie-talkie. It's Jadis. And we hear a male voice on the other end. And he asks, what will you have, an A or a B? Jadis asked him what happened last night. Did you take them? So apparently, Jadis thinks the people in the chopper are taking the saviors. And then the male voice says, no pickups, but the deal still stands. We have an A or a B. Jadis explains she's already paid what she's supposed to pay, and the voice tells her that she's already been compensated. She asks, what will it take? And the voice responds, an A. So, the last part of that spoiler that I'll give you is Jadis will explain to Father G that she has traded people for supplies. Now, people are a resource. Jadis has been trading bodies. I mean, that is creepy. Well, A and B, an alpha, beta, alive, bitten. I mean, there's some good speculations out there. Timothy Lamora. That is great. We all got to eat, Kills. That, you know what? That wasn't even a super chat, and it just, that like popped on my screen like it was a super chat. That is classic. That is classic. You know, we needed a little bit of comic relief. So the mystery deepens. And hey, Shane, the dream's still alive, right? Rick is alpha, Maggie's beta. So let me throw this out there to the group, and I'm going to ask your opinion. Now that we know that there's a helicopter, hold on. I need you guys in this, okay? Now that we know that there's a helicopter that is potentially picking up people, because Jadis even asked him as such, aren't you guys a heck of a lot more excited for the potential that Rick could be somebody that gets kidnapped? I mean, look, maybe a couple weeks ago it was hope. But now I think we got to start putting percentages to it. I mean, it seemed a little bit corny a couple weeks ago. But now that it's actually happening, and the helicopter and Jadis have been trading off people, it absolutely makes sense. It's feasible. I'm going to give it a 20% chance. I think at one point, when we first heard the Walker surrounding theory, at one point I thought, okay, maybe it's 60-40, not. And then it just gradually got worse and worse. But if Rick gets picked up and Rick gets taken away, whether he's bitten or not bitten, and they make a movie out of this, I just want people to remember 3 months ago when all of you and me were coming up with just some badass theories. That's why we want to grow this army, because we get such good, different perspectives. But I do think the real neat drama this week is the fact of it's going to be like a whodunit. Now, how many people were here when we did the 12 Monkeys analogy? How many people remember that stream? It was a while back. All right. And we did. I mean, we did talk about that Jadis wanted 12 people from Negan, and they were negotiating. So what's really interesting here is that Jadis has to have some interaction with these people. And this is what I mean by that. I'm not just talking about, I don't think a walkie-talkie fell from heaven and she just started using it. So what we're missing in the backstory is she has secrets. Not a secret. She has secrets. So let's think of this in like real world terms. So if I'm trading something for you and you're giving something for me, in most cases, you're going to at least have some type of relationship with that person, right? It's not just, hey, okay, I trust you. I'm going to send you some people and you drop some supplies. So all that applesauce she's eating, all those goods, taking care of her people, she was borrowing. She was borrowing to live and then sending people back after they would do the food drop. But that relationship had to be set up at some point. You know what? It's very similar to Ezekiel. I mean, think about this. It's not that far-fetched. I mean, Ezekiel was giving food for protection every week. Jadis was giving something for food. I mean, we've got these weird barter systems going on. But Brent, we're not hearing it's the Commonwealth. So here's what's funny. Guess who was going to be A? Who do you think the last person that potentially could have been Jadis's payment? Going to have to think back. Negan. She had Negan tied down and a helicopter flying overhead. Negan was about to be bartered off for some grits and some cornflakes. I mean, it was going to be a Negan trade-off. And it didn't happen that way. But I think, I don't know who typed it a little bit early, if it was Julie or The Walking Dead Nerd. I do think A could equal alive and B could be bitten. And here's why. Remember Rick? Why do we have Winslow? Winslow could be producing the bees. They bring them in, Winslow attacks somebody, bites somebody, and there's your infected person that's going up. So maybe she sends some people that are non-Winslowed and some people that are Winslowed. And that could be your difference. I'm not totally comfortable with that prediction yet. But I do like the direction it's going. And only because, I mean, I'm like a proud moderator right now. Only because these are predictions that you guys have made a year ago. I mean, a year ago we were talking about the possibility of another community and trading off people. And we've also thrown it out there that this could be a group of people that's looking for a cure. I mean, they got a helicopter and they're flying around. They are a funded operation. This is not some joke of people. I mean, they don't need to be communicating with primitive people. They're trying to find a cure, and people are definitely a resource. But I'm going to take it a step further. Because this does not... Look, this is going to be another one of my theories that many people are going to shoot down. Maybe right, maybe wrong. I'll get that one second. We had Joe Fulford. Joe Fulford says, watching the video and can't hear that. I have no idea, Joe. Just hit F5. Refresh. I love the passion in this group. Because, you know, last night the passion was about the whispers. The whispers are taking them, whispers. And now that, you know, we've kind of went in a different direction, now we're thinking. Now you guys are thinking with your head and not with your heart. That's what I love. We got to ration this stuff out. June Smith with Super Chat says, Kills, I think whoever is in the chopper has been there since season 1. That chopper's been around for a while now. I think the clue has always been there. June, I don't think that chopper has followed them from Atlanta. I mean, it could. But I just think this chopper, I mean, there's different choppers that are out there for different reasons. Some could be commercial choppers, some could be military choppers. I do think it's a callback. But I just don't know that choppers have been following all the way up to Washington, D.C. I mean, I think this is... And they're not making contact with Rick. So, I mean, they would have had to go follow Rick and to make it... It's just... That's a little bit more of a stretch. You know what? Hang on. Oh, I'm sorry. Mel super chatted to correct. I misread what Joe said. I thought you're talking about this video. So the part where it is when the wagon is stuck, and I think Rick says one more time. And then Ezekiel pushes the wagon, and then Michonne says, Rick. And they look over and they see the walkers. And you hear, time. Kind of just like that. And then Rick turns around, says, Daryl, Michonne. They say, I'm on it, and they go kill the walkers. It's at that scene. And I don't think it means anything. I think it means absolutely nothing. And I think it's a huge, huge editing mistake. Because believe me, I looked in the woods, I looked at the walkers, I looked in, to the left side, it looked like they were coming out of a cave. I tried to see if any of the actors are speaking in slow motion. That could have been one of them talking. It makes no sense. It is creepy. It just makes no sense, though. I mean, it's not that things in The Walking Dead have not made sense before, but this makes less sense. So, because a few of our predictions are starting to be confirmed, then I have to go out on the limb and I got to give you another bold prediction. And I'm still going to stand by this until I hear otherwise. I'm not sure the Whispers exist at this point in the TV show. I know you guys don't like that. I know that it's not been a popular opinion, but I still think they're going to start forming. And I still think they could be related to the group in the helicopter. I'm not giving up on the fact that Alpha and Beta, I know people that are hardcore comic fans are saying, look, this is a cult, this is what they do. But I'm not convinced that this helicopter group is not experimenting. They don't try things. The operation gets broken up. They run out of helicopter fuel. They got to change their perspective. I don't know that, but I'm leaning toward that the Whispers have to be an organized group. I'm okay. I'm okay with buying into what you guys are saying with the cult. That they're out there and they're just kind of doing their thing. You're sitting around a campfire, whatever, and hey, let's recruit a few more people, cut their faces off, and walk around amongst the people. And let's smoke some more of this. That could be the case too. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the Whispers be an advanced group that just starts to backtrack. And maybe it's a military operation that just goes bad. That they can't find a cure. Or they're just going to have to take it amongst themselves and just get among people. We will definitely see the Whispers this season. Star Goddess says, I don't think so, Kills, LOL. Well, you know what, Star Goddess? 7-8 months ago, we were talking about Jadis talking to helicopter and trading people, and a lot of people didn't think so then either. So the fact is, we don't know who's in the helicopter. And people make the assumption, because it's a helicopter, it's the Commonwealth. Just like last night, people made the assumption that just because Justin disappears, that the Whispers took him, and they're going to be wearing his face. So it's just one of those things that you're going to have to see a little bit more of it play out. Julie saying Jadis is part of the government. Well, according to Jadis, she's a teacher. And we don't know this is part of the government. Here's my question. I want to kind of throw this back at everybody. A good amount of people have mentioned this. Why are so many people so convinced that this helicopter is part of the government? Other than we just want to think that. Why can it not be a rogue group? Why can it not be a group of millionaires? Why can it not be something that's privately funded? I mean, there's nothing saying that it's a military operation. Because of what happened in Fear the Walking Dead? Right, I get it, Green. It's a military helicopter, but that doesn't, we did the same thing, right? Is Althea government? I thought she was a journalist. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we keep guessing government, eventually we might be right. But there's been no validation that it's a secret government organization that is out there capturing people. I mean, this is just something that we're ramping up. So based on Fear the Walking Dead logic, the helicopter could be flown by a group of journalists. I mean, clearly. I have no proof that it's not, and I have no proof that it is. And because I have, all I have is a strong theory or a strong prediction. But if we get so tied in, this is my fear. This is my fear for a lot of you. Is if we get too tied into one theory, we don't see the other things kind of evolving around us. And that's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to just be able to see all the different possibilities. I'm going to go back to last night. I took some darts last night. I took a beating by taking a stand and saying, let's just not jump off the cliff just yet with the whispers. And you don't have to answer here. How many people have watched at least a video that's out there, like I said, you don't have to call them out, that is convinced that everything that's happened up to this point is the whispers? I mean, surely there's some people out there making videos that said that, right? Okay. Now, I'm not saying that I've learned my lesson, because I do it too. I didn't ask you guys to type who it was, but it might have been the same person that did a video as soon as the fake spoiler came out that the horse's legs got cut off, and it was Rick, and somebody trolled them. But I'm trying to learn from it a little bit more. And usually we announce that this is us. This is our predictions, and a lot of our predictions are going to be wrong. Which is the only reason why I want to slow down a little bit last night with all the whisper talk, because it was clearly fueled from other avenues. It wasn't a lot of you. It was just a lot of, hey, I saw this, and it sounds convincing. Mike, I think you used the word hate a little too liberally. I don't think it's hate on somebody when you're making a general reference. I mean, for the love of God, you can't even refer to another person anymore without somebody accusing you of hating on them. It's just a reality. Nobody hating on them. It's just what we're saying is that we want to be a little bit... We want to slow down just a little bit and not try to get the first damn video up at 12:01 to throw it out there. It's like you're trying to beat somebody else with just the first information instead of getting a group together and sort of assessing the information that's out there. That's all I'm trying to say. And if that sounded hateful, that wasn't meant to be hateful either. It's just the reality. All right, let me get to a super chat before we get too fired up here, because we got a lot of people, and it might get a little heated in a second. Old Soul says, not saying it's the government, But to have the resources like that, jet fuel alone is crazy expensive. I'm an Air Force vet, and they need mechanics to keep up. I think that's a good point. And that's why, Old Soul, I'm not going to say it's not the government. My question is, I just want you to be careful to box your theories in to just this small area and say, hey, it's definitely this, it's this and this. We got to be willing to sort of discuss on the fly. Because the writers are smart, and the writers are not just going to, throw up these softballs and let us hit home runs all day long. They're going to mix it up a little bit. And if we're going to keep up with those writers, we've got to have some open dialogue around it. Make sense? So I'm not shooting down anybody's theory here. It is very likely it's by the government, but don't be surprised if they pull the okey doke on us. But as far as Jadis attachment, that's what's still a little bit of a wild card. I don't think, unless Jadis was just lying to everybody at the Museum of Natural History, if she was throwing it out there like I was a teacher, it's where I used to take my students, could she have taught in the military? Maybe. But I think Jadis is who Jadis is. I think she's just a teacher with some talent. She can paint. She has all these skills. And she got introduced to some people that are trading people for resources. So the question I have for you, I'm going to need full participation from the 999 Army. Everybody chime in with this. Does Jadis know what the people are being used for? Or does she even care? Ooh. That would be a lot. So some people say, I think she does. Some people no. She's just an innocent bystander. I ask this question because it's going to change the way you view this character. Because, look, it's one or the other, right? You view her as somebody's trying to survive, that, okay, maybe the people are going for good. Or if she knows there's some evil and she's sacrificing one person for another person, then she's never coming back to the good team. That's where I stand with that. I got a couple super chats. Let me chime in. This is a really good one. Libertarian Freak says, I have a new far out theory. Anne's big secret, she played a part in causing the apocalypse. That is definitely a far out theory. I like it, but it might be too much credit for Robert Kirkman and the folks at AMC and Scott Gimple to give one person. I think it's a good theory, but I still think they want the whole theory to be the apocalypse to be a mystery. Unless she had a minor role in it. Maybe they had it contained and she did something wrong. That still is a little bit of a stretch. DDA Ohio. What isn't it? Let's rule out what it isn't. Hold on. DDA Ohio. Can moderators get a follow-up from DDA? Because we've jumped around topics 3 or 4 times. I'm assuming DDA means what is this group not? It could be military, could be something else. Hopefully that's what we're talking about. We'll jump back to that in 1 second. Keep an eye on DDA and see if we can clarify. Mel the Vulture says, when there's no one left, who knows who you were before? You can be whoever you want now. It's a great point. And Jadis was very clear about, I'll talk about myself, just not my secrets. She's basically saying, you can know me, but there's just some things that, and it might have shaped who she was. It's a good point. All right. So I'm going to jump back to DDA's super chat. So there's a lot of things that we can probably weed out and say this group is not. But at the same time, I would be more inclined to say there is a military what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of affiliation. But I just don't know if it's going to hold. I mean, we've seen people take over, and we saw the governor take over areas and compounds and cities and had some military equipment in there as well. So it doesn't just have to be. I mean, and there's a good percentage of people who have a military background that are not just an organized military group. It doesn't mean the government is still operating. A lot of them could have been killed off, and it could be just like one platoon or battalion or one group of people that is still, they're kind of rank and file. I mean, somebody is leading the group. But as we know, not everybody can stay organized. I'm going to get back to that. There's a couple super chats that I'm going to tie in, but I want to make sure that I get them all as well. So we've got Shane Hudson said, is Ann being forced to get people? Well, this is why I asked the question. So let me tie all these super chats kind of back in. And Shane Hudson, this should answer your question. This is why I think Ann knows what the people are being used for. Because early on, she was trading people for supplies, right? She told Father G that. Well, she will tell Father G that this week. Hopefully I told you that in a spoiler. But when Jadis is talking, I don't even feel comfortable calling her Ann. But when she's talking to the people in the walkie-talkie, she had to go back to get this box that is hidden. This is not your normal walkie-talkie. She doesn't want to mix it up. This is like the bat phone. She was scared that she was afraid when she saw them coming back over, like, oh, they're coming back because I owe them. She didn't pay off the rest of her debt. And when she asked the question, like, was it you that took those people? And they're like, no, we didn't pick up. She knows there's some consequence. Otherwise, why would she care? She'd probably be like, okay, there's a few people being picked up. But I think she has an idea of what they're being used for. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so afraid. She looked terrified, and she's so terrified, and she knows that they're kind of flying around. So, here's a question for everybody. Why is this group not afraid that everybody's going to see them? Why are they not afraid that Rick's going to look up and say, where did a helicopter come from? Why are they not afraid that Maggie's going to see them? Jadis is afraid. Exactly, Samantha. That is my point. Now, you could say they're so big they don't care. But here's a follow-up, which is going to make it more difficult. Do they, E-Beach? If they need people, and if they have so much firepower, why don't they just come down and take them themselves? That creates the mystery. I want you to think about that for 1 second, because we're going to get back to that topic. Joe Fulford says, what if the people from the governor's clan have reformed and are the Whisperers now? Joe, I think the Whisperers will have some volunteers. I don't think it's going to be the governor's group, because we got brand new characters that are out there with Alpha and Beta. But do I think that there will be some saviors to join the Whispers? Absolutely. I think once they form, they will be able to take a few more people under their wings, especially the saviors. And I'm going to go into that in great detail all this week. So, hold on, we'll get back to that in 1 second. We got Shane Hudson with another super chat and says, why is she in debt is the real question. Possibly was saved from a bite herself. So, that's pretty deep, Shane. If you think that there's a cure. You know what? I love that. That would be phenomenal. But your hardcore comic fans that don't love the show the way just people that love the show do, they're going to say, no, Robert Kirkman said there's no cure. There's not going to be a cure. Stop being silly. There's no cure. I mean, we've heard that over and over again. And there's no proof that there will not be a cure. There's no proof that there couldn't be a cure. There's no proof that someone hasn't discovered it. It's kind of like those box theories where people say, it's a government helicopter, it's got to be the government. I'm open to discussing a possible cure, as small percentage as it could be. But before we get into the cure and a potential cure, the reason Jadis is in debt is because she was feeding a whole lot of people. And Jadis had all those supplies before Simon murdered all her people, and that's why Jadis turned on Rick. She got a better deal. And when Jadis was talking to Negan, I think she was already past due on the payment. So she wanted enough people where she could continue to feed her people for a while. That's why she said 12, and it was less. People are a resource. And ultimately, I think she was ready to give Negan away to pay that last little bit of debt she had. So, we understand her a little bit more. We understand what kind of made her tick. But here's why I want to go back to what Shane talked about. Now, Shane, I would love that. Do I think that Jadis has been bit and someone gave her a vaccine and it brought her back? No, I don't. I think that's something we could probably talk about in season 14 or season 15. I don't think they're at that point yet, but I absolutely love it. But let me go back to the people that are going to say, kills, they're never going to find a cure. I don't agree with you. We can disagree on this, but I'm going to disagree a little bit louder. Because I'm never going to say never for the TV show. Because the reality is, if they don't ever find a cure, and some of the argument is going to be, well, kills are not going to do it. It's going to be like every other show that's done. If they don't ever find a cure, everybody on the show is going to die. Every human walking is going to die. Eventually, you're going to lose because you don't have a cure. So, at some point, they have to start looking for a cure. Even if they never find it, they're going to realize that we need to research it. And it's quite possible that these people that are being traded off are being used for experiments. It's very possible. And it may take them 10, 15, 20 years in order to find a cure And we may end up with the same result, that they tried, it didn't work, and everybody dies. But to your point, Shane, I don't think that's what happened with Jadis. I love the theory, but I just think it's way too soon. And look, I really like the comment early. I don't know if alive or bitten. It's kind of cool to think of it like that. But if Rick is a B, and B stands for bitten, and Rick gets bit and gets taken off in a helicopter and it's open-ended, I will guarantee you, well, we'll have a good time with it. I'll put it that way. Because it was the earliest theory that we ever did, and it seemed like the most far-fetched theory at the time. And it's just not seeming so crazy right now. And if they make a movie about it, I guess it would be even better. But we definitely better get some Sherlock Holmes magnifying glasses or something if that plays out. I still think it's way too far-fetched, but I like it. And until it's proven otherwise, there's still a chance, right? So we're saying there's a chance. Green, I love it. Green 74, bitten and open-ended. We did hear it here. But really, really good stuff. So some people like to check in at the very, very end. I only gave you 2 spoilers tonight. There are many more spoilers. These were the exciting things, and that's kind of the way I want to break it down. I definitely wanted to discuss it, but take it in bite size, so we just don't say, hey, this happens, this, and this, because there's so much dialogue that we add to it, and there are some other storylines, some other plots that are going to take place. All right. We are an hour and 2 minutes, and we could keep this thing going for a while. But I promised I would only give those 2 spoilers. So I'm just going to ask everybody right now. How many people are going to be here tomorrow night to talk about some additional spoilers? I'm going to give you 2 more tomorrow night, which are pretty big things that are going to go down as well. So if you're going to be here, give me a quick 999 and slap that like button. I do want to say thank you to all the Patreons up in the top left corner. Thank you so much. As we said earlier, Samantha Wilson, brand new Patreon. So many people take part and support this channel and just make it happen. If you guys are interested in being a Patreon, there is a link down below in the comments. Also, want to give a special shout out to all the sponsors. You've seen their type in green, the custom emojis. They're in the top right. Thank you for everything that you guys do. And tonight, we had a boatload of super chatters out there tonight. So I want to give a special thank you to all the people that super chatted, made a donation, and some people did it multiple times. So Valar, Lakeisha, Age, Shane, Joe Fulford, June Smith, Mel the Vulture, Old Soul, Libertarian, DDA Ohio, and Shane with multiple super chats, Mel the Vulture with multiple super chats. So thank you so much to those of you that it changes the conversation and just keeps it nice, fresh perspective. So you guys are absolutely awesome. And of course, all of you that are involved in the theories, the chats, that make this so exciting. Appreciate the 999 Army, each and every one of you. So let me just get through some of these shout-outs. I want to say what's up to Kim McCurley. And also, if you guys are new, subscribe. We want you here every single night because we talk Walking Dead every night at 9:30. Marcia Cooper, thank you. Samantha Coombs, Deborah Cox, Shane Yutzi, Andrew Souter, Zelda Faz, The Walking Dead Nerd, Hippo, thank you. Old Soul, DJ Domstott, Emma McCalick, Stephen Baker, I Like to Fish, Storm 3851, Ron Burgundy Moore, Dwayne Willis, Michael Curie, moderators Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells. They do a wonderful job. Green 74, Star Guitar Goddess, Mike Reiser, Nicholas Scott, thank you for being here. Ziglet, Maria Favada, Chai Dude, what's up, Chicago Dude, KCF, Dixie Weatherly, thank you. Frank Gonzalez, Julie McGuire, have a good night. Shelton Arthur, Crystal the Singer Chick Gore, thank you, have a good night. Evil Tracy, thank you. Uncle Creepy, Joseph Salazar, JS, thank you. Mary Borlis, have a good night. Janet C., Grayland 28. I see a lot of people I haven't seen in a little while. Thanks. Appreciate you guys popping in here tonight. Hopefully we'll see everybody back here tomorrow night because we got some good additions to talk to as well. Sheila Mack, thank you. Anthony Solari as well. Rubelow's channel. Jonathan Jordan. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Newfield 12. Gina Crockett, Kimberly G., have a good night. She's like, no, I want to stay. Viola McGowan, thank you. Dave Alford. Those of you that are typing just a ton, appreciate you being here. And also Karen Law, Tommy V. When this video goes live, do me a big favor. People are watching the playback. We got thousands of people watching the playback on these videos, and they're leaving comments to your comments. So just check back in every once in a while after the video and just see what people are writing and just leave a couple comments. And if you guys like what we did tonight, just hit that thumbs up button. And once again, we're open-ended here, so if you don't like what we do, give it a thumbs down. And, either way, we'll work on it. But I got to tell you, it's hard to give these videos a thumbs down when there's so many awesome people involved in this chat. Kim Ames, thanks for being here. Azola Chafin. Try to get as many of these shout-outs as we possibly can. Ed and Holly Fire Squirrel Smith. Have a good night. All right, everybody. We are going to wind this thing down. If I missed in a shout-out, I will try to catch you tomorrow night. Thank you once again for everything that you guys do. 9:30. More spoilers tomorrow. Peace.